I'm slightly concerned of the number of sadomasochists I have as viewers, but the sooner we get this train over and done with, the better. The Cucumber is a bisexual electrodiesel multiple unit that is awful in every single possible way. Any person that attempts to defend or justify the purpose of it should immediately be sectioned at a high security psychiatric hospital of choice. The Hitachi AT300 is a Japanese family of trains introduced into the UK in the late 2010s. They are the newest high-speed multiple units running here, currently operated by Great Western Railway, Hull Trains, Transpennine Express, and I guess we'll operate the ECML again. They can be seen travelling to places such as London Paddington, King's Cross, Exeter, Bridgend, Harrogate and some other insignificant places in the north of England and Scotland. Have the trains given a good impression on those not bribed by the Department of Transport, or will they be remembered for all the wrong reasons? Let's find out. The AT300 family comprises of trains such as the Class 800, 801 and the 802. The 803 or 810 haven't been built yet, you smart Alex, so how could we film them, let alone review them? For the sake of simplicity, outside of when I'm referring to specific versions, I will refer to the units as the IETs. Some pedantic viewers may be thinking about why I'm not covering the Class 395 here, as it's technically a member of the AT300 family. This is because the services it runs on are completely different in comparison to the others. To add, it's pretty much a different train overall. It'll get its own review soon. Maybe. The IET is not a conventional electric train in the sense. Instead, it's an electrodiesel. What does this mean? Basically, it's a standard electric train that can either power itself using overhead wires like the norm, or utilize whale poaching MTU diesel engines underneath some of the coaches. Whilst this concept is nothing new to the world or even in the UK, it nonetheless makes the IET very versatile in terms of where it can run services to, as well as being economical. It is capable of changing between power modes whilst stationary or whilst at speed, but good luck of me getting any footage of the latter. This does not apply to the Class 801 because lol. Instead, the 801 has a single diesel engine for emergencies. Supposedly, the 803 won't have diesel engines either, not even for emergencies, and will instead rely on the battery master race for backup power. Make of that what you will. The IET is fast. Thanks to anime technology, a unit can easily clear its length within 30 seconds, which is much faster than the likes of the HST or IC225. To car fans, that sounds horribly slow, but remember that it's a train for goodness sake. Trains are one of the most efficient methods of transportation outside of boats, so a train that can accelerate fast will be more efficient in the long term. However, whilst an IET is fast from a standstill, the drivers and guards I've spoken to all say that this acceleration weans greatly beyond 40 miles per hour. A HST will beat an IET to 125 miles per hour, and if the IET is on diesel, it won't reach 125 at all, and will be begging for an asthma pump at around 110 miles per hour. Not a good sign. In terms of appearance, the IET honestly looks fine in the liveries we've seen so far. The design of the train looks sleek and even the sound of the motors is something I'm okay with. But my goodness, riding on the train is a completely different story. There's a step up from the platform to the doors, which is very easy to trip up in. Whilst there are other trains that are guilty of this, keep in mind of when the IET was designed and constructed. To add, said doors feel quite narrow also. Not as bad as the 442, but still. Walking through the train, we see that despite the large windows and long coaches used, Hitachi took some inspiration from the Class 390 in terms of window alignment with the seats. Look how awful this is. Some seats don't even get a window to look through. Why didn't they just turn these seats into luggage spaces? Why is it so hard for the designers to align the seats with the windows? Speaking of the seats, the IET is one of the most uncomfortable intercity trains I have ever had the mispleasure of riding on. Whilst the pitch of the seats isn't too bad, the padding and give in the seats themselves is comical. It's almost like they looked at the Mo hardness scale and said yes, diamond is hard, but we can do better. Please hold my beer. The IET is expected to run on journeys, which can easily exceed 200 miles, journeys which can be up to 4 hours in length. So I want to apologize to you all for expecting a degree of comfort when traveling on a long distance high-speed train. Facilities on board seem decent on first glance, though the displays on the GWR units are quite limiting, just displaying basic information such as time, coach number and calling points on a green LED display. Meanwhile in the Netherlands, the toilet doors require help from an Audi SQ7 TDI in order to open them. They are way too heavy and can easily trap your finger in them. To paraphrase James Rolfe, how do you screw up something as simple as a door? You don't even get USB charging points in the seats in standard class, just the standard 3-pin arrangement. If you want USB charging points, you'll have to cough up some money for first class. Why? Even the Takar 165-1 can offer that. I don't like how first class feels overall. Whilst the seats are bigger, they don't honestly feel much more comfortable to ride in. It doesn't even look much better from a visual standpoint, especially when you compare it to first class on other types of intercity trains in the UK. First class on an IET feels like you're paying twice the fare for 1.2 times the quality. An improvement? Yes, but not worth it by much. I feel pretty confident in saying that almost any UK train I've been on is more comfortable than the IET. The Class 455, the Pacer, the Class 700, the Pacer, the refurbished or unrefurbished Class 150s, the Class 345, a street light. Basically any version of the Pace the IET is used by Great Western Railway like a buffet car, instead relying on a trolley. If you don't want to search for it yourself, then you'll have to employ some help from your local treasure hunter of choice. I don't know why, but I feel like this is a downgrade compared to the HST and its buffet car. Even the mini restaurant featured on some sets was better than this. The 5 and 9 car formations of the IETs seem to cause more problems than they solve. More trains with less coaches equals just that, less coaches. Nobody seems to realize this vital bit of information until they attempt to board on the 5-car Cardiff Central to London Paddington service that should have been a 10-car but lol Kipling fault during the school holidays. With our 87% reservation level, remember the golden memo, trains of short formations are only a problem when I have to ride on them. I may as well say that I haven't tried getting my Dutch bike onto an IET because you have to make a reservation to bring bikes on board. Screw that. Also, the less I say about the IET having less bicycle spaces than the HST, the better. Conclusion. Whilst I like the appearance and the sounds of the AT300, as well as get a kick of how fast it can pull away from the station, I still cannot stand riding on those rock hard seats and having to go on an Easter egg hunt just to get a £2.49 Kit Kat. Factoring all of this into consideration, the IET is my least favorite train I've ever rode on in the UK. Anytime I make a journey, I do my best to avoid using the IET if possible, even if it means making my journey longer or more awkward. I don't care where the train is built or where the designs originated from, provided the workers were treated fairly. I just think that passengers deserve a better overall experience with an intercity train replacing the likes of the HST. Keep in mind, I wasn't a huge fan of the HST in the first place. Now you know my thoughts on the IET. Go out there and enjoy your inevitable 5-car King's Cross to Inverness service.